Let's get a start demo first of same series, authentication authorization with the Blazor WebAssembly along with the .NET Core Web API, right? So here, what we'll implement over here, get roles, whatever roles we have in our application, which is in our API, so they will return and we will bind in this Blazor Web application, as well as whatever new role you, if you want, user want to add, which is belong to admin user, so they can add that user. So how they can do that? Okay, so let log out first, so that you can I can show you from that starting. So login, and here just add whatever login user with the admin user. So if I add for example my admin credentials over here, and once I logged in, so see, I am able to see this add role page, right? Means when I click on that add roles, you're able to see whatever we have a current roles. So we have a current role in admin, finance, and HR. And if I want to add something, for example IT admin, right? So once I add, so it will disable for that also. If you think okay, it is wrong, so we can remove as well. And if suppose for example again IT admin, once I add, so it will add only here. It is finally once you submit, so it will call our API and it will submit. But yeah, if you want to just want multiple roles, also you can add it over here. So ID admin, IT admin, again just use same things. So let me add this. See, if it is already exists, so it will saying okay, it is already exist. If it is not, then it is fine. For example manager, right? So if it is manager roles, so let me add. So then two roles I will add over here, right? And once I submit, let me submit. See, submitted successfully, and whatever roles we just added, they just populated over here, which is coming from again our API, and bind it over our Blazor application. So this functionality we will achieve over here in this session. And if you first time visit my channel, so I'm especially recommend to you go to my channel, which is .NET Real World Example, and here you can just check out my authentication authorization series before proceeding this one. So see, this is our, I just create my API, and then this adding in this our Blazor application and authentication authorization with the logout things, right? So same series I just continue over here, and same example also I will take the same example to continue, right? So let's get started. So I will take same example which we have, right? Now if you see, this is that our web API application, right? So this is our web API application, and this is our Blazor web application, right? Which is standalone application using web assembly. So we don't need to change anything in our here, because we already have that user role, which I already covered, right? So this is a role controller, and here we have that get roles, as well as we have that add roles. So both we have, right? So we don't need to do anything. What I need to do, we have to go to my web application project, Blazor application project. Here first of all I have to just implement two service. So where I have to implement this service, I have to go to that custom authentication state provider, right? Here I have to uh, go to that account management, right? So let me go to this guy. Here we have these are service, right? We have already registered, login, log out, and check out, right? So here what I will do, simply I have to just add that add role or get roles, right? So let me create that first, both service. First let me add this guy, like get roles, which will return all the roles which we have in our system, in our API. They will return back. Yeah, we have to create that role model as well. So let me quickly create this role model, and go to that model folder, go to here, and create that class, and make it the class name is role. And here what I need to do, simply I have to add few properties which will related to our roles. So let me add this quickly. So this is that ID and name, right? ID represent whatever ID, and then whatever roles. So go back to our uh, I account management uh, class interface, and here, yeah, we are good to go here. Now also one more service actually we have to implement here, that also required to add all the roles, right? So let me add that one also. First let me implement both roles, both actually service, then we will implement in our here. So yeah, then again add roles which will accept multiple uh, roles, like for example, if user send to single or multiple roles, so based on this actually we have to add it uh, in our database, right? So like that we have to implement. Now how we can implement? So for that implementation, what you need to do, you have to go to this guy, custom service authentication state provider. So you have to go this guy, and here let me implement interface. So once I implement interface, it will give us to default implementation. So we have to implement and our things, right? So see, first of all I just remove that guy, and here what I need to do, we have to simply call our HTTP method, right, which will interact our API, and they will return the result. So first let me add a try catch block over here, so that whatever, if I face any error and all while uh, connecting to our DB, connected to our API, so we can capture in our here, right? So that is the best over here, so we can keep it over here. Then what I need to do, simply I have to call that HTTP client, which already we have to inject it over here, right? So that's why I'm especially recommend before proceeding this series, because this series actually that already we continue, so many things we have to implement. So you have to watch my previous session so that you can understand, okay, what is that custom authentication, what is that custom HTTP handler, what is account manager, and what actually how we are set up this project structure and all, are everything actually you can understand. So yeah, to further implementation, we have to require to over here to get role. What I can do, simply I have to call that HTTP client, right, dot get async, and here I have to pass that our API endpoint URL. So what is my API endpoint URL? If you see, this is our running here, our API also is running. So this is that guy, get roles, right? So if you try to execute, and if you see, this is my URL. So this is my base URL, so I don't need to record that base URL, but yeah, I have to require to whatever method URL, right? So that I need to copy over here and just simply pass it to that over here. And then we don't need to send any parameter and all, so we are good to go over here. And then simply it is async method. So what I can do, simply await, use that async decorated over here, and then uh, we have to store as a result, right? So let me store as a result over here, whatever this HTTP client return a response, we will store as a result over here. And then in this result actually we have to read some content, because HTTP response, see, this is simply responding to HTTP response message, right? So it have few things which we can return our result. So how we can do that? That is very simple again. So let me add this guy to result dot content, right? And then content dot read as a string async, right? So here they will return whatever response we have, because everything it should be written as a content. So once I return, I will read as a content, so I will get that response. So let me add again, like for example, response, right? And let me store as a response, and also it should be await, because it a synchronized method we have to use over here. And then whatever response we have to get as a string, right, so that we have to convert in our model, right? So what is my model? So this is a model I just created, right? So simply I just need to deserialize, right? And let me deserialize that JSON deserialization mechanism, I can use it over here. And here what I can do, simply I just make it a list to return and that response. And also we can pass it to JSON serialize option, so that whatever configuration, right, we have to set actually over here in the top. So yeah, this guy like camel case things we are trying to ignoring, so that things we can use it over here, right? And we have to store our roles, uh, roles list, right? So let me add as a role list whatever deserialize again, right? And then here I have to just check like, okay, if it is succeed, right, then what I need to do, simply I have to return over here, right, whatever response I have. So this is my response. I can just simply return to here, right? And then after that, okay, so if it is exception, so we don't need required to send an exception, we can log it over here. And then finally final return, we can simply return empty result, empty roll of list, right? So return over here new list of role, and that's it, right? So yeah, like that we can get our list of roles by using our API, right? Like this is done, let me formatting. So this also formatting done. Now moving to next, add roles, right? So let me implement this guy also quickly, so that we can implement our a pages razor component to use the those services. So in here what I can do, simply first of all again I have to just I have to call one HTTP client over here. Let me call that HTTP client, and that HTTP client, we have a post method. Yeah, there is actually many way to get or coordinate our API. So one of the way actually we have to use like this way, right? Get, post, and also we can use other method also, like send async method. So many way actually. So as per the requirement we can use over here. So here what I will do, simply again go back to our API. Which API I need to call over here? I need to call add roles, right? So see this guy. Once I execute, see, uh, this API required actually request body as a uh, array of a string, right? And also this is that the URL, right? So let me copy this guy and go back to here, and then here what I need to do over here, see they asking request URI along with HTTP content, right? So we have to create one HTTP content. So how we can create that? Simply I have to just create a one variable, for example here content, right? And in this content new string content, use that string content. And here I have to record, see there's a many overload method, right? So what I need to do, I have to record this method, right? So we have to pass that content, and then whatever type converter, right? And yeah, this guy like encoding, and then media types. So what are the types, right? So whatever things over here, like so this is a string roles, right? So we have to just return back as a string array, string content. So simply again JSON serialize, right? JSON serialize dot serialize, and here just pass to your roles over here. And then once you pass your roles, and now we are good to go this content, and then we have to encode it, right? So what is the encoding format should be over here? Encoding dot utf-8, right? This is a formatting. And then we have to pass the media type. So what kind of media type actually we have to pass? We have to pass application dot json. So let me quickly pass it that application json over here, like that. Well, like here actually you have to just create your content, right? Whatever your request body, whatever the type, and whatever that format, right? So you have to just prepare over here and simply copy this guy and pass it to over here, and that's it, right? So now close that guy, Now we are good. And here again we have to use that await async, and here I need to again to store as a result. Let me store as a result, and then we have to check once we are getting the result, is it succeed or not, right? So like again we have to check over here. If it is succeed, what I will do, simply have to return to succeed, and otherwise it should be fails. Now see, it is succeed, then fine. It is fail, so then we have to return over here like that. So succeed method should be false, and error list like okay, API has some issue, right? So like that actually we can set it. And also we can decorate this guy using try catch. So let me use the try catch as well, so that we can avoid that exception and all. So let me store this guy, cut from this and paste it over here. Yeah, now we are good to go to implementation for both service. And let me formatting over here, and let me remove that spaces. Yeah, now see, it is very straightforward implementation to add roles. Simply I call that post method http client port machine, passes that URL and content, and then we are returning back to success and fail. That's it, right? So now our both service has been created, like these two services we have to create it, right? So now we have to call this two service in our add roles, right? So first what I need to do, go to your components, go to that account section, right, which we have already login, logout and registered, and we have to just newly create that component, that add roles. So let me call that guy add roles, right? And let me quickly add it. So once I add it over here, so we have to decorate something, and we have to design something. So I'm not going to good design over here, but yeah, simple, we have to focus on the implementation part. So first of all, what I have to do over here, I have to just create some variable over there. So first variable would be, first property would be over here, like we have to create a one role list which will contain all the list which will user should be add on the UI, right? And then whatever roles we have, we can send, we can pass it to our API, and then API will save it to in a database. So like that we have to use this guy. And one more property we have to create over here to bind that result role list which will get from that API. So API return role list to is to bind here, right? So like that. Okay, so one also we have to bring that namespace. So let me bring the namespace. So this is two property, and then other properties actually just we can add. For example, if it is success or fail our API while adding our roles, so that we can keep it here submitted messages over here, right? And then one more thing actually we can add over here, that is called this guy like normal message. So whatever message, um, if it already exist or not, so that we can keep it over here, right? That, so yeah, don't worry about that. As of now it is not clear. So once I implement the method, definitely that time will be clear. And the final property would be over here, the last one, that is our new rules. So whatever user adding new roles, we have to keep in this property. So that's why we have to create this few properties, right? So once you create a properties, what I need to do, I have to call, I have to create a one method which will we call that get alls API. So right, so what I will do, simply call, create a private void method, and here call the roles method, and we have not required any parameter on all. And simply here I have to call that service, right? This service. So first of all we have to inject this service. So go back to your here, right? And just add that service over here, right? And then before add this here, we have to decorate something inject, and then this guy, and then use ACCT, right? And then also we have to bring back that namespace, so bring back the namespace. And one more thing actually we have missed over here, we have to decorate as a page route. So which route actually you have to call over here? So we have to call this guy add roles, right? So if I call using the add roles route, so this page or this component should be called. So like that actually we have to set up. And once you set up, simply go to that method, call this guy ACCT, and see all the method is available. So first I will call this method, and this method simply return our list. So let me add as a list, right? And then store over here, and it is a asynchronous method, so we have to use that await async method. And finally, see, this list we are returning from API, right? And this list we have to assign to our role list, so that we have to try to bind over here. So let me assign this guy over here, this guy equal to list dot to list, just decorate it over here like that. Now it's fine. And then we have to do one more things over here, state change. State change method we have to call, so that once once load this component again, we have to it will take some time, right? So to load the data, so once you get the data, so again it should be state change, so that whatever data we have, they proper assign this one, and they will now refresh our UI. So that's why I call this guy state change. So now our get roles is completed. So let me create some HTML for that. So that first we have to check, okay, whatever get roles we are trying to get, they are binding properly. So for the HTML, what I will do over here, first I will just check at the rate if, right? And then the role list, whatever role list, right? So this is my role list, and this role list I have to check it should not be nullable, right? And the count, if it is greater than 0, inside that what I will do, I simply decorate with ul, and inside that what I will do, I have to just create one for each loop, and inside this for each loop I'll have to just call this list to go over here, and then we have to bind as a uh, li, right? So let me create that li, and inside this li what I will do, simply item dot name, right? So whatever name, role name, we have to bind over here. So this is a simple design. So we can do the as per our requirement, we can use our grid and all, and quick grid also we can use it. But yeah, as of now it's very simple design, so that's why I'm using, because it is only one property, so that's why I'm using this guy. And once it's done, right, so what I will do, simply our list should be bind over here, right? So let me save it. And one more thing, actually, that life cycle hook we have to call in this component. There's a concept of Blazor. Once I every component, actually there is a some life cycle hook over there, right? So call that first life cycle hook. Let me call that guy like using override and on initialized method, right? So use that guy, and inside this on initialize method, what I will do, simply I call this get roles, and that's it, right? So once I call this guy, we are good to go to call and bind this data. So let me see it is properly binding or not. So for this, what I will do, whatever newly component I have added, right? So that we have to add in our um, navigation menu, right? So go to that navigation menu, inside to here, like see, we are already specify admin role section, right, in our navigation menu. So inside that, what I will do, simply I have to call that navigation over here like that. So simply I just use the navigation, and here whatever our route name, right? So this is my route name. Copy this guy and change it to over here, and just make it to label name over here. That's it. And one more thing actually we have to do over here, we have to decorate this guy so that nobody we have to decorate with authentication directly, so that nobody can directly access this page without that authentication, right? So for that, what I need to do, I have to just set the attribute. Everything actually we already explained in our previous session. So yeah, that's why I will especially recommend go to first my those session, then it will clear actually. So yeah, once it's done, so what I will do, simply I have to run this application. Now see, there is a one issue. Only API application is running, right? Our Blazor application is not running. Right? So what I have mistake over here, if it is closed, see, this is only select that uh, one application, right? There's a two application, but it is selecting only our API application. So in this case, what you have to do, that go to here, go to your solution, and right click on the solution, go to that uh, startup, yeah, configuration startup project, click on that. Once you go over here, choose that multiple one, and here you can just change to start both project, right? And then apply, okay, and then we are good, right? So see, as of now it's selecting the multiple project, and once you start, both projects should be run, because it is dependent, right? Our web application, it is dependent with the API. So here our API web application is running. Also see, our our API also is running, right? So now what I will do, first I will just try to log in over here. So let me log in with the admin user. I have, this is my admin user, and once I log in, see, once I log in, all that component, all the section you are able to see over here. Without admin login, you are not able to see over here. And once I click add roles, so now see, whatever roles we have, you can able to see all the roles over here. So now one thing is completed, like get role roles, right? So whatever we have the roles in our DB, like for example, if you want to see, so see, this is my same DB. So these are all the roles we have, right? And those roles actually we are able to get over here. That is perfectly fine. Now second thing we have to implement, which we already shown in the demo, we have to add new roles, so that whatever user add a new roles, so they have to add to our database, like using the API. So now close everything, right? And go to that project, and here that next section where I have to add that new roles, right? So let me add few things over here to add the new roles. So first of all, I have to create one method which is actually add roles, right, and remove roles. So first let me create a one method, for example, private void add role, and here simply nothing I have to do, that we don't record any parameter and all. Here I have to check if is string dot is null or white space, right? And then this property which we already create new role, right? So first we have to check, okay, if this property is not null, then we have to add our roles inside to there, right? So let me add that whatever roles, right? So whatever our role list, where is our role list? So this is my roles, right? So these roles we have to add these roles, add, and then add these roles, new roles. So like this way actually we can add the roles, right? And before adding roles over here, there is a, some scenario can be happen, like okay, if already have a role, so that duplicate role should not be add, right? So that also we have to make sure whatever roles we are trying to use, right, we am trying to add over here, that should not be exist. So that way what I can do, simply again it try to is exist role, we can check in this roles already have that roles or not, right? So let me check that guy using that roles dot exist, and here we can use our one lambda expression, right? And that lambda expression we can use like x dot contains and pass it to that new roles, and this is that new roles, and that's it, right? So it will return actually true or false, right? If it is exist, so it will true, and it will not exist, that it will false, right? So based on this, again we have to check one more condition over here. If it is not equal to is exist, right, is exist role, then we have to add, otherwise we have to skip, like that. And then if it is not exist, right, so if it is exist, so what I can do, I have to simply whatever message I have to add it, right? So I have to just add this message, decorate this message, and show to user, okay, it is already exist, right? So like that we can use that message, so like this guy, right? So already exist. If it is not exist, so simply what I can do, at whatever message over there, we can just clear that message, string dot empty. So this is done, right? So add roles functionality, like this way actually we can add it. And one more thing, actually see whatever new roles we have added, that also need to clear. So once complete, everything will be complete. Here what I can do, simply I have to just string dot empty, also we have to clear that guy. So like that we have to implement that add roles functionality. And then we have to record, one remove functionality as well. So let me clear that also, so that we don't record again to writing any things. So let me create another function over here, private void remove role, and here we have to pass actually the role, whatever role you want to remove from that list. So let me create this function like that, and then using that roles, and then remove that roles, and passing that role, whatever role we have to pass, like while on click event, right? So like that actually you can just remove that roles. So like that actually we can we are good to go to create our HTMLs, or we are create to our design, right? And one more thing actually we are pending, that is submit one, so which will call, see, these two things just handle for the UI. So if user want to add the roles, user want to delete the roles from the UI, so that actually to that functionality we achieve using this one. But once all the roles we have added in this list, this final list, so then we have to call our API, which will call a final submission button, and they will save to our API, right? So what I can do, simply create another section over here, and here I just need to call uh, one if conditions over here first, like okay, if roles, see whatever this roles, right? So this roles, if it is count 0, inside this 0, what I can do, I have to decorate, I have to just create a one design, for example like this, like div, create a one input text field, and create a one button, which will just nothing, it is just add button, right? So whatever input text box, we have trying to bind this property, like this one, right? So whatever user will type, we were trying to bind this guy, and once I click that add button, right? So where is our add button? This is our add button, right? So I just call this add roles. So once I click the add button, this add roles will be fire, and this add roles will be check, okay, this new roles have a value. If it is the value, so then if it is check, okay, is already exist or not. If it is not exist, then it will try to add and clear, and that's it, right? Like this way. And also this is if it is first time, like if it is count 0, right, which is the first time, so then we have to do that. Otherwise, what I can do in this else condition, I have to just create a, to just iterate through that function, right? So whatever roles, if has a value, so then we have to iterate through the for each loop, and then store as a variable over here, and then again we have to call these two things, right? Okay, one is the input text field, and another one is, that button, which is nothing, it is the remove button, right? So we have a value, so we have to try to bind in this text box, which will be disabled, right? And also this is a remove button, which will call this method, will passing that whatever user role existing, so the roles will be over here, and then simply once I click, it will remove, and then this is good to go, right? And if suppose if we have a value and we have to trying to bind, but in this case what I can do, the next time, suppose, see, this is the first time, it is fine, but it is the next time, once we have a value on this roles, so we have to record again, user can add another roles, right? So suppose they have 3 roles already added, but they want to add more roles. So in this case what I can do, simply I have to create another text box over here. So this will we create a new roles, again a new text boxes, right? And then along with the, that add roles, right, add roles button, and this will be add again here, and they will add it to the roles, and they will bind over here. Like this way actually we have to approach, right? And then finally what I will do, I have to just decorate one message, right, inside, after that here, after that here, which is nothing but this message, right? So this message we have to trying to bind it over here, so it is exist or not, so that we have to show that UI user, like, okay, it will be already exist or not. Okay, so don't worry about that if it is not clear. Once I run this application, definitely we trying to debug, I'll explain everything again. So let me run and see in actions. Now is running, and also it's store our authentication in the cookies, so that's why automatically login. And once I click add, now see, this is first time call, so that's why this text box and button is appearing. And once I add, for example, let me add a new role, so new role, when I add the new role, so see, once I add the new role, they will be disable this guy, and also the button will be changed to add to remove, because if something, okay, so I have added something but it is wrong, so user can forcefully delete or remove, right? So let me add new role again, and then add, and again suppose I just by mistakenly add a new role, again duplicate role for this trying to add, so it will saying, okay, it is already exist, right? So this is a very powerful functionality we can use, not only here in the Blazor application, anywhere we can use that one, where we can add uh, multiple data, right, trying to add. So like that actually we can do that. So if it is already exist, that is fine. And yeah, that's fine, do that functionality. So once this functionality completed, now what I can do, once we have added a role, we have to record one final submission button, which will call to our API and submit this adding this role, and this result will be refresh. So let me move again to our project, and let me implement that guy. So what I can do for that, simply nothing I have to do, I have to add one more design. For example, here after this section, in this else condition section, what I can do, I have to just add this guy here, and here I have to just create this submit button. As of now I don't have a submit functionality over here. So that I have to just require to create, and let me create quickly over here in the last. So what I can do, simply private void and submit button. So let me call that guy, copy this guy, submit role. Here we don't pass anything because we have already stored in our role list. And then here what I can do, simply whatever message we have to edit, right? For that first we have to clear, right? We don't need to record anything first, and then we have to call our service. So where is my service? So this is my services instance, and here where is my function? This is my function add roles, and it is expecting that list of roles, right? So here are my list of roles. This is my list of roles. So copy this guy, not this guy, uh this guy, right? We actually storing this guy. So copy this guy and go back to here and dot to array, because it is a list of array and we require an array of list, right? So that's why we just need to convert over here, and that's it. And then here we have to just set the decorate await async, so that we can avoid that exception. And then finally we have to store this as a response, and we have to check that response, whatever response we have, response dot succeed, right? So now we have to check, okay, if response is succeed or not. So once it succeed, we have to set, or we have to tell the user, okay, this is submit message successfully. So I can just set it, okay, submit message successfully. And also after successfully that message, what I will do, whatever roles, right? So whatever roles we are passing over here to add, we have to clear over there. So let me clear that guy. And then in the else condition, what I can do in this, if have some error and all, which will return API, right? So we can just simply add this guy, right? Okay, fail to save roles, right? And then in the last, finally, once I complete, we have to call, we have to refresh that data, right? Our if I not close, okay, yeah, that add roles data also should be called, right? So that for that, what I can do, whatever new roles added, again we have to fetch the data and we have to reload this guy. So how we can do that? Simply we have to call this this method, because this method everything we have, which is actually calling API and binding the data and all. So let me call this guy, and that's it, right? And let me stop that and run again, and let's see. So now see, API is running in backend, right? And front end also running over here, already logged in. So let me add roles over here, and now see, first time it's not load any roles and all, a submit button. But where once I add my new role, right? And once I add, now see, I have to, I have a submit button, and let me check all the functionality is working and expected my new role again, so that should be not adding a duplicate. Yeah, it is duplicate, so it is just removing. So let me add another one, my another role, right? And then add. So now see, it is perfectly fine. And once I submit, so see, submit has been done, right? And also you're able to see this guy, right? So whatever new role we have added, so over here, but yeah, that message is not appearing, like, okay, which we have implement, right? Why? Because if you go back, see, I just tell, okay, submit successfully save, right? That is not appearing because I have not decorated that guy. So let me decorate quickly, that I can decorate, and the last of that here button, right? So let me add that guy h1, and then decorate over here and save it, and then stop that, start again. Now log in here, now go back here, and just let me quickly, right, add, and suppose, yeah, see, submit message over here. Yeah, I just added a wrong place, I guess. Yeah, yeah, go back to here. Yeah, actually, yeah, see, I just added simply, I've not added actually that that variable I just added simply just text, right? So that's why actually it's problem. So what I can do, simply just decorate with that at the rate, because it is a code block. So whatever property we have to use, so we have to use inside that HTML using the at the rate, right? That we have mistaken. So let me here start again. So API is running perfectly. Go back to here, add roles. Now check my new role again, right? Add this guy and then another role, right? Add this guy, and once I submit, again it's not populating, right? So yeah, that's why there's some mistaken we have done, right? So what mistaken we have done, let me check. Like see where I just took a place, right? So yeah, we have to place inside this, this else condition, right? So see, in this, what is that condition? If roles have a 0, so this section will call. If roles have a more than 0, means that have a roles value, so that time call this guy. But what happened once I just submitted, see, once I submitted, I forcefully clear this roles, right? So that's why this section will not call over here. So what I can do on this, in this case, let me copy this guy and keep it the outside that message, and just save it and close that, and that is started. Now this time hopefully should work. Add roles, let me add something, and let me add something. So see, already exists, so it will not allow. So let me add something, right? And it is fine. And then once I submit, now see, I'm able to successfully save, right? And also if I fail in our API, so also it should be changed, that this guy. So let me check quickly. Suppose I have already HR, and then try to HR submission. So see, if that API is fail and it's saying fail to save to role, right? So like that actually you can implement quickly in our Blazor web application along with API to get the roles and save the roles. In an upcoming session, we'll actually complete this complete authentication and authorization series. So that's why actually I'm just creating one by one all the sections. So as of now, I just created add roles. Now next session will complete or will implement like assign this role, right? Because see, we have a register user, but we don't have to assign that roles. Whatever roles actually we have to provide that user, right? So that will be implemented in an upcoming session, and we'll do many things for this upcoming session. So for here we are good, right? We are complete all the things over here. And one more things actually we have to do over here. Let me stop everything. This source code, right? So the many subscriber actually asking to source code. So what I will do, simply I will just add this source code to my GitHub link, so you can check out and take it as a reference. So in here what I can do, this is identity web API, this is the repository name. You can check out my GitHub link, right? And simply push. So now we are good, right? And don't forget to like, subscribe and share.